space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Her ongoing mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life forms and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before.
So, the Enterprise has had its maiden voyage, has it? She is one well-endowed lady. I'd like to get my hands on her ample nacelles, if you'll pardon the engineering parlance.
I like this ship!
You know, it's exciting.
Hey, that's our show, because there's nothing I can do that's going to look any nicer than what you see there in the footage from the USS Enterprise Into Darkness, the JJ Prize, the Enterprise, a ship that I have absolutely grown to love and honestly to hate over the last 3 months as I work on this particular model. Wanted to put together a quick overview of the finale, and let me just say welcome to the Sloppy Modeler. Welcome to my rendition of this JJ Prize. It has been a long, tough run, and as you can see there as I'm panning around the USS Enterprise that I completed, that it is here in its warts and all. And there was a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of missteps, a lot of challenges, things that went right, things that went really wrong, and then really, really wrong. But as you can see, just in doing our initial loop around the Enterprise here in my kitchen, that we are done with it. And some of the things that we're going to cover are the lighting and the paint work and joint work, light leaks, and all of the things that brought this model from a plastic bunch of parts in a box to an actual representation of the JJ Prize. So what you're seeing here is just looping around the finished model. I have a new dolly that allows me to go around in a circle with my camera, and I thought, oh, we'll give it a shot and see what it's like. Of course, right away you're seeing some of the challenges with the light leaks up there in the vents below the nacelles. Those were really, really hard to get put in, and I wasn't about to mess with them any longer, but those have been done. And coming up on one of my favorite parts of the ship, which is the hangar bay. That is the hangar bay with the photo etch parts and the actual mini shuttles that are in there, and the lighting. And honestly, that turned out fantastic. So sit back with me. We're going to walk through what it's going to take to put this together, what it took to put it together. We're going to do a tour of the ship pre-lighted and then lit. We're going to show you the different switches that turn the different lights on and off on the model itself. And we're going to talk about some of the challenges, some of the joys, and definitely some other things that stood in my way to bring a completed model. I'll say this, it's done, or maybe better off, I'm not going to do anything more to this. So as we sit here and review some of the footage, I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for the long journey and coming along with me, and let's look forward to the next one. But for right now, let's go through this JJ prize. All right. Hey, good evening. Welcome to the Sloppy Modeler, and welcome to the finale of the USS Enterprise Star Trek Into Darkness JJ prize. And as you know, those of you that have followed with the challenges that I've had with this model are astounded I got to this point, but I did, and here I am. And I thought I would just go through the reveal of the finished and completed model and then put this away and never speak of it again. Thank you for your subscriptions and your comments and your patience and your time on this. It has been probably my most difficult model in so many aspects, and a lot of them have been documented here on the channel. So I won't go through all of those challenges, but for right now I just thought I'd give you an idea of what this looks like, what we came into as far as putting this together, and then the final result. In spite of all of the problems, the challenges, the setbacks, the catastrophic failures, the repaints and refills, resands, lights going out, and just sheer amount of time and availability, this has been a significant project. And even though I'm not super proud of it, I am proud that I completed it, because there were so many times I just wanted to kick this to the curb and be done with it. So I didn't do that, and if I had done that, I would have been pretty disappointed with myself. However, by spending just a little more time and then going away from it and coming back to it, I was able to come up with the model as it sits here. So without further ado, I am going to do a little spin of the model here, the USS Enterprise NCC 1701. And I got my little Lazy Susan here, and we'll make a few comments as we go. The first one, of course, is the Aztecing on the hull and on the nacelles and the secondary hull. All of that I am really thrilled with. In addition with, I really like the way that this color came in. I think that coloring of that white pearl with then the darker pearl over it, especially like I see it right here, is really a fantastic look and color. In the nacelles with that, I'm fine with the color hue in the difference between the two colors. And so from that standpoint, my color choice I was really thrilled with, and that's fine. That's where we came up against it. Probably one of the bigger challenges, and much more frustrating towards the end, was the decals. So I put a coat of gloss paint on this. I'm sorry, a coat of gloss clear on this after I had all the paint done. Then I used micro set and put the decals on, and then micro sol over them, which in my previous experience had always set a decal up into final notion. It was done. And in this case it would still come up, you know, like there's some back here that would come up afterwards, and it's like, you got to be kidding me. So as a matter of fact, I had to redo the interior gray stripe in there with sky gray color. And I'll say this, the sky gray color really matches some of the grays that are in especially in the nacelles. And then some of the decals were chipping, and I just didn't want to touch it anymore, and I was pretty well done with it. The other thing is you see these larger pennants on the side. The two that came with the decal kit from round 2, in my opinion, were too small. Specifically, the pennant itself just seemed like it was too small for the model. And so what I did is I took and added, I had an old set of decals. Of course, they broke apart on me, but I was able to place them in, and they do say USS Enterprise, so all of that is correct, but they do have that larger pennant or star at the front, whatever you want to call it, maybe an echelon, but it's there, and that really made a difference, in my opinion, the way that that turned out. The rest of the painting and decals went fine. The round sensor bands, yeah, they're mediocre, no question about it, they're mediocre. But again, I do like how all of this has come together from the paint standpoint. Light blocking, I'm probably 95% of the way there. There's a couple of light bleeds. There's one right at the neck at the top and one right at the neck at the bottom. But I think I showed you there's no light bleeds on the neck itself, where the neck meets the saucer on that particular joint. So hey, that's great. I'm excited about that. And in a minute I'm going to start turning on lights and turn down the lights here so that we get a better idea of what this looks like lit up. And what I did is, this is general lights, and then we've got different lights here that will light up as we go. I've got one for the epilepsy ship, the good ship Epilepsy, with 2 different blinking rates for the nav lights and the anti-collision lights. I've got one for the nacelles only, the nacelles and the warp crystal at the same time. I've got one for the impulse engines, and then one for the spots. And then these 2 switches over here manage the different blink rates for the navs and anti-collision lights. Now, one thing I did not do, there's 2 anti-collision lights that should blink here. They should blink along with the anti-collision light that's on the top there. I decided not to make that blink, and because by doing so, that light was so bright in the shuttle bay that it would have been a blinking shuttle bay, and I'd much rather have it lit up. And you'll see some of the footage of it lit up. So I'm gonna be fine with that. So without further ado, let me kill some of the lights here and take them down, and then we will start turning on lights to show you what it looks like when it's finally lit up. And I think I can. Let's go all the way back here. All right. So as I was mentioning, the first light I like to turn on is just the general lights in themselves. And essentially what that gives me, it gives me a white impulse crystal. I really like these teeth here. I think that those turned out awesome, and the shuttle bay, and I'll do a few close-ups of that, maybe in photos to show that a little better. And it gives me all my windows on both the general hull. It also gives me, and you'll see some of the other footage, it gives me lighting in the front end near the deflector dish, the side vents, and it gives me my lighting along the neck. Okay, hey, I just wanted to bring you along on the starboard side of the Enterprise here. What you're looking at there are the 2 spotlights that shine down onto the pylon, and those actually light up really nice. They're just a couple of small SMD, surface-mounted diodes, that are individually wired, and they work out really nice. Of course, you've got the decal along the neck and the turbo lift, as it indicates it there, going up the side of the neck, and that larger pennant. Now, right in front of the pennant is a side vent, and I really like the way that that turned out. That's part of a photo etch set right there, and by digging that plastic out and putting it together, that's how that turned out. In addition, you've got a Raytheon effect with the plastic right behind the deflector dish, and that gives you your blue off of a blue LED that sits there. And then, of course, coming around to the deflector dish, I'm really pleased with the way that that turned out. So just give you an idea of what that looks like from the first light that we've got on there with just the lighting.
And it gives me the sensor dome on the bottom and my lights there. So that is just general lights as they are come on board with it. The next set of lights I'm going to show you are the nav lights, and these are 2 sets. So what I've got is I've got the navs light up on a they pulse up and then blink and then drop. That's the red and the green and the soft white in the front. And then after that, on the bottom, the same thing. I've got the green navs down here that light up and blink the same way, and I think there's some footage of that. Oh, it's towards the back here. Then I've got the flashing lights for the anti-collision, and those are across the top. There's, I think there are 7 of those. I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and they flash at a different rate than what the green and reds. And I actually added a green and red back here, I think I've showed you earlier. And so when you turn off the other lights, you see just those, and that to me is just, it's very cool. Just to be able to pull that off, you can see in the dark that's what came together. All right, so let me look at this a little more. There we go. Okay, we're still putting some footage on there. So again, if I turn those off and the other lights, then I have a light which is the impulse engine light, and that turns out really, really nice. That was that box I had to build inside of there, and for the most part, I'm thrilled the way that turned out. It came together well, and it is diffused. There's no hot spots, and it's just red enough that that impulse engine comes up really pretty nice. So that is the impulse engine. Then this is what to me is very, very, very cool and fun. This is the lighting for the nacelles, and I think I mentioned I had the flashing nacelles going here, and I think you can see them from the front. Although we're going to blow out the cameras, that's okay. In addition to that, you've got this blue glowing impulse crystal that comes up with those at the same time. So the impulse crystal is right here, and it's got its nice blue along with the teeth along that dentite trim around the back. Additionally, what you've got is the blue on the exhaust. The 2 nav lights in the back light up when the navs come on, and then these here Raytheon effect to the 2 front ones there, and then the blue around the nacelle with this line here. I think it's awesome. And then finally the blue underneath, also very, very cool from that perspective. So that is the lights for the nacelles. Let's go back to the nav lights and just show you here the different blink rates. So on the regular navs, that's solid, and then I can make them double blink, which they're doing. I can bring it back to a ramp up and off, just a flash, and that's probably closest to the original Star Trek, that right there, that speed. I happen to like, this is a ramp up and a ramp down, and then finally this is a ramp up, a flash, and then a ramp down. Again, as I was at the nav lights a little bit ago, turn everything back on. Here is the regular lights and the navs. Let's turn on the warp core, that's on, and then this is probably what I'm most thrilled with. I don't think you can see the NCC 1701 on top there. However, the spotlights give us a whole new look. So on the spots, I can now see the 1701 at the top of the Enterprise. I have spots down the side of this, and let me spin this around. You can see how bright they are. They just awesome. And then I also got my spots coming down the side of the pylons there. So, and both sides of the pylons have that. So in essence, all of my lighting is pretty well done and set up and put together. The nacelles, I think, turned out really fantastic, and the secondary hull is probably my favorite. But getting those spots to work, and then getting those spots on the front to actually direct towards the NCC 1701 and the Enterprise name, I think is what I'm most proud of. All the windows have had microcrystal clear put in them, and in person they are not blowing out the light like they do on camera. However, they do look very, very sharp when it comes to putting all this together.
So we're traveling down the port side of the Enterprise. Just wanted to highlight a couple of things. One, how nice the neck and the lower secondary hull looks. And then secondly, probably more importantly, how nice the vents underneath the top cap on the nacelle have turned out. And that's due exclusively to Lou's mask. He's got a set of masks, especially for around the back side of that nacelle cap. There's a light that goes, or windows that go all around that. They're clear. And then by using the blue LEDs in there, they really turned out awesome.
So I think that's going to be it for showing you the lighting as it comes together. We've been through the building of this through 5 or 6 updates, 6 updates I think it is, and now the finale. I will say this, it is a very cool kit, but it is a very challenging kit to put together, where the nacelles go together, how you have to tape everything off. Those turned out really well. And actually, let's go turn the lights back on, and I'll be right back with you here in a minute. What you're seeing there now is the ship lit up in the light, and you can start to see all the different things that came together, including the spots, the nacelles, the warp drive, and something I'm really proud of was all the effort I was having with the shuttle bay. That turned out really nice, especially the dentite trim around the back here, and the lighting inside. I think I've got a little bit of video of that will splice in.
So as we're coming around the starboard aft portion of the ship, we're going to get a close-up into the shuttle bay. Sorry about the focus, but definitely a challenge to get through there. There are about 6 or 7 shuttles in there that have been painted. They're super tiny, along with the different levels in the shuttle bay itself. Some lighting that really turned out nice. That is the photo etch kit, and boy, I tell you, I couldn't be more pleased with the way that came together.
All in all, it was a huge effort in frustration to make it all work and come together, and ultimately in the end it did. So I thank you for sticking with me on some of the things that really required a lot of patience. And so the things I liked about the kit, the decals are pretty nice. I used the decals from the kit. I used Lou Dalmaso's paint mask kit, and that was fantastic. It saved my hide on many things on this. Specifically, like that stripe had to be sprayed in, and then all of the hull work. The decals, instead of using decals for the lifeboats, I was able to paint those in the red the first time I had ever done that, so that turned out fantastic. So again, this is all things that by putting this together really turned out nice. Yeah, so of all the things that could go right, it did. Whatever could go wrong absolutely did, and for that it's been a long trip. So I'm going to take a little more footage of this for splicing in during some of the reviews here. But for the most part, I appreciate your viewing. I've been watching all the COPPA stuff, and I think I'm in good shape with everything that I've put together. My channel's not monetized anyway, so I don't know if that's going to be an issue. But for the most part, I think I'm good to go there. So thank you. If you like what you see, please subscribe. Comment on what I could have done better, which would have been a million things on this particular kit. And I've got something that's maybe not quite so challenging coming up next. That'll be a lot of fun for me, something I've never done before. But again, working on skill sets I'm trying to do to build up to do some bigger kits. The base was easy on this, and for the most part, it was just a big challenge. Specifically putting the hull together with all the lights in it, and then the secondary hull, and then getting all that painted. And some things went right, some things didn't, but some things went right. So thanks for tuning into the Sloppy Modeler. I know you could spend your time doing anything else in the world, and I appreciate the time that you spend here with me on these models of the Enterprise and other Star Trek and spaceships and so forth. So till then, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again soon.